Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Well, we had a long live with Wayne today. We had a little time glitch. It was very, very interesting. It was kind of like we had a little Mandela moment or something. It was really a pretty wild one.
It was. I'd be curious to see if you guys felt it too. It was just weird.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to encourage everybody check out Evolutionary Energy Arts and also go check out the market. The market is so cool, at least we think so. I love this hoodie. People over data centers. Loka samasta suki no bhavantu. If we could manifest that, we're just in the clear, guys. It does support us and the channel when you do buy some merchandise, of course. And, this just basically says, holy bleep, pray for West Virginia. My brother's working in a hospital and just sent me this. His wife and baby are safe. National Guard has been deployed. Absolutely insane. There's other locations that we have to worry about. And this has a little wiki that says this is actually a hotel and not not a hospital, but it is real. It's the bottom line. Sometimes you look at a wiki and you think the whole thing is fake, right? Somebody's trying to debunk this. But no, this is real flooding. This is historical. This is kind of unprecedented. Days of torrential rain has inundated, as you see, parts of West Virginia. It's historic. It's monumental. But it's also many other locations. We might be talking about this, somewhere in the Carolinas tomorrow morning and could be in Mexico the next day. It's all around the world. State of emergency here is declared in Upshur County. Just, ferocious. Ferocious, is that a word? Ferocious?
Well,
ferocious.
Yes, it's a mic word.
Yeah, it's horrible and ferocious at the same time.
Have you ever noticed that he does that a lot? He puts these words together because his brain is going so fast. It just is automatic. We need a dictionary of mic.
Micisms. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I do have a tendency to do that. It's just like a lot of processing going on. Again, 5 inches of rain, 6 hours equals a big problem. So, state of emergency for all the counties in West Virginia. Over in Pakistan, monsoon floods have left 47 lost, and flood alerts, evacuations, just a mess over there. And over in Chile, widespread flooding kills 10, damages more than 23,000 homes. 23,000 homes. Helicopters out helping rescue people. Why aren't people awake yet? I mean, who has not realized that we're in a different situation than what was the case 10, 20 years ago? Something has completely changed. It's just out of control right now.
It is, since 2017, I remember it just seems like that's when the huge events started, and it's kind of been a slow roll, just increasing, and all we can really do for ourselves is just definitely stay grounded and, do our day-to-day thing and take as best care of ourselves as possible.
The worst of it seems to be in the Atacama region and Coquimbo. Atacama, immediately I think Atacama Giant, which is a famous glyph that you could see from the sky of a giant being. And then that makes me think again, Chile and Argentina. We're talking about Patagonia, which is the land of the giants. There's literally many maps from the 1500s, 1600s, showing giants interacting with regular sized humans. And then the Pope actually a few years back was literally wearing a papal vestige with the Atacama giant on him. Very, very interesting coincidences here. By the way, there were tourists from a small country in the Middle East that were supposedly lighting fires in the region as well. It's all just coincidences. Meanwhile, a 5.1 earthquake rattled areas of Texas and Oklahoma Panhandle, epicenter striking just outside of Amarillo, Texas, northeast of Amarillo. And I'll pull up the USGS. This was the biggest in this area going back as far as we could go. There was like a 4.9 up here back in, I want to say, 1930s. So you can see this is a little out of place because this is, quite a bit off of any of the plates. By the way, if you haven't noticed, USGS, they've updated their plate boundaries and they're showing the direction of movement of the plates here.
Looks like these two are pushing together, I guess.
Yes, they are. You have the Wanda Fuka is just getting crushed. It won't be anymore. There's actually a vestige of an ancient plate, that is just disappearing. Plates like this won't be here at some point in the future. It's again disappearing. The Caribbean, you can see, is on its own plate. And you can see this is pushing westward. When they did this really freaked me out. And I asked ChatGPT about this and said there was no updates. They didn't make any announcements, but, I do view it as an upgrade. It's definitely a little bit more expressive. But anyway, a 5.0 they're listing here, originally a 5.1, 5.7 kilometers deep. So that is relatively shallow, really. Did you feel it? Did anybody out there feel it? You feeling the oil? The oil boost it's getting from just the war, the cost of living just keeps going up. Food and fuel, fuel and food. So oil is back over $100 a barrel after the Houthis strike 2 tankers in the Red Sea. This is not calming down. This is exactly what we thought was going to happen. A little lull, and then it's going to kind of go and just really rapidly expand. I really do think the next 6 to 8 weeks are probably going to have some major events transpire. Lots of rumors out there. Germany paying 5 times more for gas after ditching Russian imports. This, according to some media sources. Long-term contracts with Moscow were not vulnerable to external shocks or market fluctuations. It's really what's going on. Well, I think ultimately it is an economic war, but again, it's being manipulated from forces far above the control systems that we see. And yeah, economic war then between who? Ultimately, it's really the U.S. and China, or you could say between NATO and BRICS. But NATO itself is fracturing, and I do think NATO is going to split up. I think the EU is going to split up. I don't think the European Union is going to get any bigger than it is really now. I think quite the opposite. It's going to splinter and start to really fragment. Did you hear the one about rogue OpenAI bot that escapes the lab and hacks a rival? This is really pretty wild. Unprecedented incident will revive concerns. New tools could be repurposed for unstoppable cyber attacks. A powerful version of ChatGPT went rogue, hacked another technology company during internal testing. OpenAI has admitted. Interesting.
Oh, I know. This isn't the first time it's happened, and I have a really bad feeling. I do think it's going to get worse because they're given these tasks to do, and it's not always thought of, the way that the AI might go, like which path it might take. So they keep noting that the AI continues to break certain rules to complete the task. So, yeah, it doesn't feel too good.
No, when it overrules the programmers, right? That's when we're in some serious problems. Trump suggesting he might start rebombing Yemen, and not only that too, but also there's the possibility of military options in Mali. Mali's in Africa, by the way. So, and Yemen, is down below Saudi Arabia, in case you don't know. So, if approved, the military operations in Mali, if approved, it would add an eighth nation to the list of countries where 47 has ordered strikes since the start of his second term. It's starting to feel a lot like an Obama term in some ways, isn't it? I mean, ultimately, they're all, in my opinion, they're all the same to a degree, and I know we have disagreement in the family with that. Again, I don't think that they have all that much power when you really get down to it. Just look at disclosure. There's a lot of things that are hidden from presidents. They don't need to know. If a president doesn't need to know, then they're not at the peak of power.
Mm-mm. And no, they're not. Nor have they been for so long either. It's like, it's just sort of one huge shell game, and they just put these people up as if they have some kind of power, but they never do.
Yeah, it's many people's opinion that 47 is being forced through some sort of threats to carry out the war, and there's quite a few people that do believe that's the case, and I wouldn't doubt that for a moment. For a second time, the House approves resolution to end the war in Iran in a rebuke to 47. So the House approved a resolution to remove U.S. forces from hostilities with Iran. So the House wanted to do that, but then the U.S. Senate, the other side, votes 49 to 47 to block a war powers resolution that would have required Trump to seek congressional approval for further military action against Iran. This shows you that, again, you have like 500 and something representatives in the House of Representatives. You have 100 senators. Every senator is important. And then you have this. You have Lindsey Graham's sister, who has no political experience besides what she just gained. Said she's been praying a lot, and she's going to run to be permanent senator in South Carolina. So, when you realize that a Senate position is a very lucrative position.
And praying a lot, talking to my family, but with the love of my family, with the support of his staff. I know I'm a hard worker. I learned that from Lindsey. He cared about the people of this state. I've worked for almost 30 years for the people of this state.
I want to talk about that in a minute.
I feel like I can do it. I feel an inner peace about it. Will it be difficult? Yes, absolutely.
So you're inclined to get in, or have you even made a final decision?
I've made a decision.
You're in?
I'm in. I'll continue.
She's in. She's signed on the dot with the devil. Oh, boy.
There we go.
So some are calling this a birthright senatorship, a critical label used by commentators and critics to describe the recent political maneuver where Nordone Graham, sister of the late Senator Lindsey Graham, announced her bid full 6 years. 6 years in the Senate. It's a long term in South Carolina. So, what's this based on? Well, when you look back to ancient Rome, the concept of birthright senatorship is historically nuanced. Senatorial seats were not formally hereditary, but in practice, senatorial status functioned almost like a birthright for members of elite family. What was the difference between senators in Rome? And then, again, you have kings and queens, you have lords and ladies. The lords and ladies you could equate to the senators, so to speak. Or, it's like a pecking order. We know a lot about pecking order now.
Well, we're learning more every day.
Yeah, with the chickens. Yeah, elite families, especially during the Republic and the early Empire. And then they went to a dictatorship. It's interesting. Secret Service official sounds alarm. Threat environment, highest ever. Assassination attempts explode. Obviously, with all this war talk, there's a lot of people that are angry with 47. What we're seeing now is something I'd never seen before, the official said, speaking on the condition of anonymity ahead of a public briefing. Secret Service has logged roughly 10,000 cases involving threats against government officials, including Supreme Court justices, so far in 2026, a 40% increase from the same period last year. Well, people figured it out. They've been getting over on us, and most of these people, in my opinion, most of them are corrupt, and that's sad when most of your public officials are corruptible and are in fact corrupt. And that's, again, just my particular opinion. We're not stating that as absolute verified fact by any sort of media sources, but when you have this going on, people are pissed because, quite simply, they feel like they've been bamboozled. Yes.
Imagine that. Who saw it coming? I don't know.
Right? But, okay, so the Polish psychic, Krzysztof Czetkowski, again, bring him up a lot because he's really good. I mean, he is really good. He has literally helped with all sorts of cold cases. He's worked with police and different authorities in countless cases. He sees President Trump being in danger of being poisoned. And he's seeing that particular danger coming from the left side. So that would be more of an internal thing. This was from his live like 1 or 2 nights ago that he picked up on it. Makes a lot of sense to me. When you look at Trump's Vedic astrology again, it looks like he's in for a really rough go from about now to somewhere in like mid-September, maybe even October. Then it looks like it lightens up a little bit in November, December, January, and then towards the end of February and into March. If you look at his astrology, I mean, to me, it feels like it'll be lucky if he stays alive at that point in time, because it really just seems like it falls off the cliff for him astrologically. Again, if we are, as many scientists believe we are, and as some spiritual traditions say we are, in a holographic reality that's literally a projection, it's an illusion of sorts, and it's a matrix of sorts. And if the positioning of the stars does really have such an effect, and the planets too, on our lives, literally causing certain conditions, certain energies to be dominant in certain times, and there is something to it, then I think, yeah, if he does escape this go round, which again is kind of centered around August and September, it looks like, and he'll either be stepping down or maybe have health problems or internal problems. Something will likely come about more towards February and March.
Oh yeah, it can definitely, it can't necessarily predict things, but it can certainly tell you the weather. And the weather in this situation is very, very dire. It looks pretty stormy, pretty crazy. And now Trump just told people to stop fighting data centers. He said communities need to be convinced how great they are. You can't fight it, you just have to go with it. Well, what about all the people that were very pro-Trump that are now losing their cattle, losing their ranches, losing money, losing water, losing everything? And this guy here, he's not worried about it. He's not losing anything. It doesn't bother him one bit.
If I gotta be totally honest, when he says you can't fight it, you have to go with it, it feels like he's really telling us about his condition. That he can't fight it, he has to go with it because maybe there's just too much dirt out there on him, and he doesn't want to make the choice to maybe lose everything that he's trying to work for his family for, his legacy for.
I do think that there is a Trump following his higher self and a Trump following his lower self. And it's just really, truly hard to say when there's so many other things going on, because already the guy is not in control. And we know that. So he's just kind of given a cue card, and maybe for him, maybe it's just the best cue card for his family.
Yeah, let's just listen to him say this and see if you could feel the energy behind this.
Because You have to convince your community how great these things. You can't fight it. You have to go with it. And you're going to have all that protection, and we're giving you automatic protection, but you're going to make a tremendous amount of money. You're going to reduce taxes, and you're going to have something that if you don't have it, everybody else wants it. Because
Taxes never get reduced. They never get reduced, and they always throw that in there. It's just like one of the biggest BS lines everywhere. But I think he's saying a lot when he says you can't fight it. I think maybe that's what he feels, honestly, like you can't fight this system. But the system's going to crumble. It is. It's fraying right now. Iran issues chilling warning to the royal family and threatens UK bases over bomber strikes. This is expanding. That's it. But we expected it to expand because, again, maybe has been planned since 1871. Albert Pike made the statement of 3 world wars. Albert Pike was a Confederate general and a 33rd degree Mason. But they have to always let these things out there and tell us what's going on. And there's been so many people that have seen the Third World War. But take heart, as we were talking about today too, with Wayne, it's in the Bhagavata Purana, where it's basically stated that you could literally, if you could step out of the time-space continuum, you would see we go through a loop. It's like a Groundhog's Day. And you could change the outcome. We can change the outcome. I have no doubts about that. That's why we work so hard trying to get people to realize everybody's thoughts and intentions have great power. Meanwhile, wired for war, Palantir rewards its best Ukrainian salesman. Former Ukrainian Defense Minister Mikhail Fedorov has been offered a job at the American defense tech giant. See how it works? See how it works? You're a politician and you sell a lot of weapons by, again, I don't know what the right word is to use, supporting a war. Maybe, again, selling a war in some cases, supporting a war, making a war happen in which 1.5 to 2 million people might have lost their lives. That's an enormous loss. What happens? You get rewarded in cash. It's blood money. It's like, again, Judas collecting the money for the betrayal of his friend there. Well, other humans have done this time and time again to all of us. In fact, I think you could put most, if not all, politicians into this category. Unfortunately, you can also put a lot of people in the healthcare industry into the same category as taking blood money. This is just reality. It's just reality. It's a truth. This has to be understood. This has to be understood so we can move past it. Because again, and I did see a channeled message this morning from Michelle Robinson, who is in Australia. And I think she's a good channel too. In fact, in some ways, she reminds me of a lot of the stuff that we get when Cindy channels. And one of the things was message coming through. She was channeling Yeshua, and the message was, "You can't trust the system to bring about change. That's insane. That is like the definition of insanity. When you do the same thing expecting to see different results. If you think change is coming from within the system, you gotta think again. It's up to us to force the change."
It starts with you. I mean, everything you do is contributing to the world that you're going to live in 20 years from now.
Yeah. So again, this is where we have to really plant our feet, root ourselves, and give that hell no, we won't go type of attitude. French modeling scout with links to the E-Man found dead at a home in France, Danielle Siad, likened his efforts to recruit women to fishing. Now, this is not the first person of this sort that was found dead. Another person doing a similar thing for the same person a couple years ago was found dead. Again, finding people to recruit to send towards that diabolical creature known as, JE, because he is a diabolical creature. I think that's the best way to describe it. Again, everything else going on, this gets buried. That's the reality. It gets buried. Um, that's the person, by the way. So what are they doing? I mean, he's found dead. Obviously, there's dirt to be had. One might think that somebody got rid of him so he couldn't talk.
Well, yeah, yep,
If it looks like a duck, sounds like a duck,
quack.
it's a duck. Thousands of families face pregnancy loss. Stillbirth rate reaches 20-year high. There's people having a hard time conceiving, and there's a great reason for that. There's one huge, enormous, dominant reason, and there's many other factors contributing to this. Australia's stillbirth rate has reached its highest reported level in over 20 years. And really, when you look at this, if you look at people of European lineage, and also let's throw Japan in there, Japanese lineage, it's like those groups are in danger of extinction. They literally are in danger of extinction. Japan has been going backwards for decades, as far as people are not having babies anymore, and they're married to their jobs. Japan produces some of the best musical instruments, some of the best guitars, some of the best motorcycles. I mean, they really build quality, but they're not building enough quality kids. I mean, this is just a fact. It's like a byproduct of the society. It's an unhealthy society. Again, there's so many countries going backwards as far as life expectancy. There's more chronic illnesses than ever in the last 100+ years, recorded history. And now, Homo sapiens sapiens is facing an existential crisis. There are those that say, there are those experts in this field that say come 2045, we might be completely sterile by 2045. That means, Homo sapiens sapiens will end up going the way of Neanderthal and Denisovans, who, some of them live on in our genes, but we don't live on in their genes. They're gone. They're gone. Could it be the same reasons? The same reasons? Is history repeating itself? I think it has been. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah, when you look close, it becomes very, very obvious. Cancerous cells themselves spread between individuals, behaving more like parasites than in conventional tumors. What's this about? Catfish. There's a type of melanoma that is novel and transmissible. This is a very disconcerting thing. Since 2012, brown bullhead catfish in a lake that spans Vermont and Quebec have shown a high rate of melanomas, suggesting a causal contaminant or contagion. Wow. I'm going to look something up just for ha-has. And it's transmissible. I've had this feeling about water, that there's something that's spreading in the water. And then, of course, we've had the stomach bug virus thing that they've blamed one particular parasite for. But there might be something else to it. I feel that there is.
I mean, to me, I think it's a layered things. I think could be our compromised immune systems from so many toxins and certain medicines that we get from the DR. That can really just stack up in the human body, leaving it quite defenseless. And then, they drop in frequencies. Frequencies are going to create a problem as well.
Yeah, and there's Burlington. Well, yeah, there is some. So there are several data centers up in the area here. So I'm not saying that there's a connection, but it's just something else I wanted to take a peek at and see. Is there any up in that area? By Lake Champlain, by the way, is known for its version of Nessie, the Lake Champlain monster. But yeah, it is curious. I wonder what could be causing this spreading cancer. Again, transmissible spreading cancer. That makes you worried. I mean, if you catfish out of this, out of this lake, could somehow you catch it? It's pretty interesting. It's been found in 23 to 37% of them. That's a big significant amount. Young women are told to get a pap smear every 3 years to prevent cervical cancer, but the brush used to sweep the cervix is sterilized in something called ethylene oxide, which has been linked to you know what. How about, get your mammogram? Well, it turns out that's linked to you know what. There's a trend going here. There's a trend developing.
Well, why do they have to put it in that stuff? I mean, couldn't they put it in something else that's non-cancer causing? What a concept, what a thought. So I really feel, unfortunately, we have to go to the DR. If we do need a DR, you have to go with your defenses and you have to go educated, and you need to go with the folder to educate the doctor, because the doctor's not going to find the time or have the time because they're so buried in paperwork. um they're not going to have the time to do that study. So really, again, it's up to you. You take responsibility of you. You are your own best advocate, or or you're not.
Yeah, we were sharing our experience because there's a couple wonderful gentlemen that we have in this family that both were given, again, diagnosis and prognosis that, they had something terminal and they weren't going to live much longer. One given 2 years, the other one given 2 months, and they're both fine, actually completely free. But they looked into natural alternatives and, they overcame. So can we all. Again, want to thank you guys for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon, and also with memberships on YT, as well as memberships with Patreon. Look forward to your comments, like, share, subscribe, and hype when available. And let us try to overcome these algorithms. Source blessed and namaste.
Namaste.